Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. Going to have a look at the weather next 8 to 10 days. In today's video, this will take us into the start of October now, so we're going off into the second month of the autumn with this update. It looks like you're going to be seeing high pressure building in. You've got to be a bit careful about it though, because there's one model on the GEM which is keeping things more unsettled. It's probably unlikely, but it all really hinges on the way a big storm system is going to interact with the jet stream next week. Most of the models want to take this storm system up towards Greenland, and that promotes high pressure around the country. But there is this one model, the GEM, which wants to sort of bring the storm system through the country as an area of low pressure. It just really highlights why we get so much uncertainty at this time of the year. But it's really to do with the way that the jet stream and Atlantic storm systems that are developing in the tropics are sort of interacting with one another. Sometimes they can keep us very unsettled. Sometimes they can actually help to build high pressure over the country. So it's always a little bit uncertain at this time of year in the extended range. But we'll have a look at the charts in a moment. Before I get on with that, though, just very quickly to mention the ads. There's links to articles and log pages. I guess there's you can have a browse of widgets. Click through the links if there's any articles that you're interested in. You'll be helping to pay for the website. Thanks very much for doing that. So just very quickly starting off with the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts. We've got the ECMWF on the top and the GFS now is on the bottom. We flip them around. So red extrapolates to high pressure and blue extrapolates to low pressure. These are for 8 to 10 days time. They both show this big ridge of above average heights, which is high pressure, right in over top of the country for the very end of September and into October. Jet stream being pushed off to the north on both of these charts. So we have got agreement between the GFS and the ECMWF anyway that we build pressure in. This blue area just here is sort of the storm system I was talking about, and that's going off up to Greenland, as I say, with the jet stream allowing this ridge to build underneath it. So we have got agreement with both of these models that we're going to get some high pressure coming up for the end of September and into October. You can see this on the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles. The temperatures are indicated by these lines in the middle of the chart, and the red line here, the thick red line, is the 30-year temperature average. So we're going to be below average, I should say, for the rest of this week. But as we go through into the weekend and the start of next week, dates are along the bottom of the chart, so this is Sunday the 27th just here. As we go into next weekend and next week, we do find the temperatures lifting up a little bit, going up a bit above average. Not really hot conditions coming up there, but certainly going warmer than it has been through much of September in terms of the upper air temperatures anyway. And this is in association with a drying trend as well. So again, we get a complete lack of precipitation spikes here on the bottom of the chart going through towards the end of the month. As we go through into the first half of October, or the first week or so of October, we do get some precipitation spikes coming back. Not a great deal. I don't think there'll be too much rain coming through. But these members that are showing precipitation through the first week of October are probably bringing this low pressure system, which I was talking about at the start of the video, through the country. It's probably no more around a 20% chance that this will happen, but it could just end this drier spell a bit earlier than anticipated. By the way, I've got quite a wet day today and some heavy shower coming up tomorrow, and that's associated with those precipitation spikes just there. But the general idea is that we're going to be pretty cool, bit unsettled for the rest of this week, the working part of the week. From the weekend onwards into next week, we find temperatures lifting up somewhat, could still be chilly at night, and a drying trend taking place as well. The temperature anomalies are looking a bit cooler than average for the coming week. This goes from the 21st to 29th of September, so generally a bit below average, not cold, but a little bit cooler than you would expect. We've got a drying trend as well, so generally quite a dry week coming up. That takes into account the rainfall that we've got today and tomorrow. So yeah, quite a dry week coming up from the 21st to 29th of September. Here's the generic charts. We start off with Friday, still in quite an unsettled mode really. High pressures ridging to the south, but we're more or less being dominated by this low pressure to the north of Scotland still. But as we go into the weekend, that's when the high pressure begins to build up from the south south. These areas of low pressure still threatening the north, so I think there will be some cloud of rain through Ireland and Scotland particularly, but this high pressure increasingly exerting its influence down across the south. And as we go into the start of next week, which is Monday the 28th, a week away, that high pressure really starts to build in then and settles us down right across the country. And then the GFS wants to keep that high pressure going through the first half of the week. Anyway, this is the area of low pressure, the storm system I was talking about, down there to the far southwest of us in the Atlantic. If we run through, we can see that low pressure stalls in the Atlantic, and this just allows the high pressure to continue around the country. So up to Thursday, the 1st of October, day 10, that high pressure is dominating the weather, keeping it mostly dry and fine. The ECMWF, as we saw in the hydrometry charts, is in agreement with this, so we start quite unsettled through the start of next week. Then the high pressure builds in, takes over increasingly through the weekend, but it may be a little while before we properly settle things down for the north, but generally the high pressure increasingly building through the weekend and into next week. So by the time you get through to Tuesday, the 29th, for example, next week, the high pressure is in there across the whole of the country, 1,030 millibars, giving us a very quiet, settled spell of weather. And that high pressure goes on to day 10, and again you see that the low pressure systems are all being kept up to the north and northwest. But just to throw the GEM in, just to give a bit of a word of caution about this, so we start off again with the idea that the high pressure is building up from the south through the course of the weekend. Never really affects Scotland though. It's really England and Wales that settles down over the weekend. Scotland and Northern Ireland staying quite unsettled. And then that high pressure sort of pushed back south again by low pressure running in off the Atlantic at the start of next week. So this is a more unsettled run. And here's that storm system that I was talking about. Instead of going up to Greenland harmlessly and just promoting the ridge over the country, what the GEM does is gets that low pressure tied up in the jet stream and just runs it in into the UK. So by day 10, which is Thursday the 1st of October, that low pressure is looking very intense down to the south of the country, a major storm system hitting northern France. That will be bringing lots of heavy rain in across England and Wales in particular. Now, I think it's a low risk that it comes off like that. It's probably no more than around 20%, but it's just, again, the idea I was talking about at the start of the video, that at this time of year there's always a little bit of uncertainty in the extended range, because we're seeing storm systems in the Atlantic that are developing in the tropics. They push northwards and then they sort of interact with the jet stream. Sometimes they get caught up in the jet stream and get pushed into Europe. Sometimes they will be taken harmlessly away up to Greenland, and that tends to allow high pressure actually to build underneath. That's the idea that the GFS and the ECM are going for this morning. The GEM just sounds a note of caution that you can never quite tell, sort of in the day 5 to 10 range, never quite tell how these systems actually are going to interact with the jet stream. But let's say that the GFS and the ECM is the way that we go with this. It means that we're going to stay quiet and settle for the rest of this week. Over the weekend we'll settle things down, particularly for England and Wales. It may take a little bit longer to settle things down for Scotland. And then next week, potentially looking really very pleasant with lots of high pressure, very dry conditions. Could be chilly at night with mist and fog, but mainly dry by day with some sunny spells. So that's how it's looking today. We'll have another look at it tomorrow. That's what I am. Thanks for watching.